You probably bought some mini chatterbaits thinking, hey, it's just a smaller version of my favorite chatterbait. I'll just throw it in my usual setup, my usual spots, usual time of the year with the same trailers. But these are the exact reasons you aren't catching as many fish with it as you'd want to. When the baby Jackhammer was released at Bassmaster Classic, it was all the rage and people bought them up, and some people saw success and some people said they were junk. Let's break down why you might not be having success on these miniature bladed jigs. If you throw in these smaller profile chatterbaits on the same big rod, 20-pound line, big bulky craw trailers, that could be part of the problem. Today I'm going to show you the setups that I've used to see success on these mini bladed jigs this past season, to put quality bass in the boat. Hopefully these tips will transform this bait from just being a novelty into a slump buster for you. Stick around to the end. I'm going to share my 2 most productive mini trailer combo setups that were the best this year for putting quality bass in the boat. So here's the why behind it. Everything about the mini chatterbait is smaller. The blade, the hook, the profile, the vibration. A standard chatterbait uses its big profile and big blade to move a bunch of water and have a loud profile. The mini relies on a more subtle vibration and visual flash. So if you put too big a trailer, too big a line, too big a rod, you can overpower it and take away from what it does best. So for me, mistake number 1 is your rod and line setup. In some cases, you can see, use the same rod using for 3/8 and half-ounce chatterbaits and things like this. I've had pretty good success using my Sierra 734 Dobbins rod, which is a 7.3 medium heavy with kind of a slower, more parabolic action with 12 to 15 pound mono or fluorocarbon. If you're using 17 to 20 pound heavy glass rod, things like that, you might want to look at something that has a little more tip, a little more sensitivity. The 17 to 20 pound line is going to limit what that little blade can do. It's going to deaden the action. It's also going to make it harder for you to feel what's going on. And if you'd like to throw chatterbaits on glass rods, these little baits have a lot more subtle vibration. So you might not have the same sensation, the same confidence, and the same response from the bait. So you might want to look at possibly a rod like this, a 3 to 4 power action, Dobbins Sierra series type rod. So you get a little more response, a little more accuracy on those smaller baits. Just overall, the vibration on the Mini Max, the Baby Jack, or the Evo Mini Max, or any of those is just much more subtle than a standard jackbait or jackhammer. Just something to consider, but I would say mostly line size, and then just make sure your rod's not overpowering it. Your standard chatterbaits are pretty much an all season, they catch fish almost all year round. And I think there's an ability for the mini chatterbait to do some of the same, but I think there are some times of the year where they outshine the big brother. For me this year, early season, pre-spawn, when the water was warming up, I found there was a window where the Mini Max, when the water was still pretty cold, did a little better for me. And I also found it as a good change-up, when I was in those pre-spawn areas looking for staging fish, where there was a lot of pressure and a lot of other boats around, giving them a smaller mini offering was a nice change of pace to those larger full-size bladed jigs that everybody else was throwing at the same time. So as a change-up in the spring or when the water's really cold, I think coming out of that winter time, those are both good options. Secondly, in the fall, there's a period of time where it seems like the bass key on a smaller bait profile. So then you can use this little bit smaller profile bladed jig instead of the full-size offering to do a little bit better job matching the hatch there. So I think that's another key time, right before winter, late fall, depending on the fishery, if they're keying on smaller bait. And then just, if you've got rivers, fisheries where you've got small shad, little emerald shiner, anytime they're feeding on small bait, this is a good thing to look at that time of year. So the third biggest mistake to me is trailer overload. Using your traditional big trailers, things with appendages, things like this that are going to pull a ton of water, just overmatch the more diminutive little brother chatterbaits. You want something smaller, streamlined, more like a fluke type pintail. A bulky trailer creates too much drag and overpowers the little blades on these smaller chatterbaits. You want your bladed chatterbait, whether big or small, you want the bladed jig to impart the action in the trailer, not the trailer to control the action of your jig. And so it's even more critical on a smaller jig to downsize and not have a lot going on so that this bladed jig can do what it has and get it to oscillate that trailer and impart the action into the trailer. So rule of thumb for all chatterbaits, less is more when it comes to trailers. Whether you're using a Evergreen Baby Jack, Evo Mini Max, or the Z-Man Mini offerings, avoid big and bulky trailers with lots of moving parts and you're just gonna have more success. My two best offerings this year, my two favorite Mini Max Mini Chatterbait trailers that were the most productive, both size and quality of fish, are the following. Number one was the Arsenal Ballistic Ned. Now I know it says it's a Ned trailer, but they got a lot of great color options. And for me, one of the combos this year was this kind of Firecraw Evo Mini Max with the Morning Dew color, which is kind of like a Margaret Emulator. This one's a little washed out here, but these paired together in the early spring, that time of year when you'll throw this Firecraw, was a really good producer, getting a lot of bites, both largemouth and smallmouth on the Mississippi River and a little bit dingy water. This was a really good option. They have a lot of good options. So here's another option in more of a bluegill color that produced well on the natural lakes around my home. And it just, you look at that thing just has so much action. It doesn't stop moving. It's the perfect matchup, or one of the perfect matchups, to get a ton of action and not a lot of drag so that these little mini chatterbaits can still hunt and do what they want. But that little Arsenal Ballistic Ned is fantastic. If you want any of the baits that I've mentioned throughout this video, you don't want to worry about taking notes. I've got links down below to where you can find them. The second best producer was in the final event of the year with that fall situation, where I paired the Evo Mini Max with a Mooch minnow. This Mooch minnow, being that's kind of that elastomer material, I fished this for a full 3-day event and caught a lot of nice largemouth. So this downsized black and blue with a little like Tennessee shad type trailer was key on Mississippi River for matching the smaller bait that I was finding at the event, and it held up and was super durable. So both of these were excellent trailers. You can see they have something in common. They're both very minnow style, straight tile, not a lot of action. Let the jig put into the minnow. So if you haven't caught mini bass on mini chatterbaits and you got them in your box and they're rotten, there are some tips for you to try. Go ahead and grab these smaller trailers, put them to work. Stop treating your mini like a Magnum. Downsize your gear and you'll suck less. If you're still having trouble with chatterbaits of any kind with your bite to land ratio on bladed jigs, this next video on the screen right here is for you. Maybe? I don't know.